Hello. This is my new podcast that I do not even know the name of yet. I have not thought of anything really, but this is where we're starting. I bought this mic and we're running on vibes. Yes, another influencer is starting a podcast. And I'm really excited because honestly, what inspired me to start this podcast is I've been watching Anything Goes by Emma Chamberlain recently, and it really made me feel in tune with a lot of my thoughts. And I was like, damn, I should do that for myself. And I love watching other people's podcasts. So I was like, I should give this a shot. Mind you, I had this idea a long time ago, and I've mentioned it on my main YouTube channel. I've mentioned it on TikTok, and I've gotten a large response of people saying that they want me to start a podcast, which is surprising to me because I'm really bad at speaking in length, which I've mentioned a few times. But it was really, really surprising to me to see like the overwhelming amount of people who wanted to hear me make a podcast, and the comments are always like, I could listen to Ryan speak for hours, and I'm like, how? Like, I literally can't listen to myself speak for 10 minutes, but okay. um so we're trying this. I'm currently in Bangkok, Thailand, in my Airbnb. I don't want to move the camera, but the view is like right there. It's actually pretty nice. It's What time is it? Oh, it's only 2 a.m. It's only 2 a.m. in the morning right now, and I'm feeling pretty manic, and I want to do my first podcast episode right in this moment. So that's exactly what we're doing. I ventured out today to a random music store in Bangkok, Thailand that was weirdly like next to a farm, but like in the city center, but like nothing. It was very remote. I was very, very confused. And I arrived and nobody had their shoes on. Like everybody took their shoes off before they go into this music store, and there were probably 50 people collectively in this entire music store. It's like two different stores. So I was really confused and kind of intimidated because I was the only foreigner there. I don't speak any Thai, obviously, so that was a bit scary to do. But I was very easily able to ask them for a podcast mic. I was like, "Oh, I want a podcast mic." And he was like, "Do you have any of the setup that you need? Like, do you have the thing that you have to, like a mixer or something that I don't know what it's fucking called. I don't do audio, but like the thing you plug microphones into and then plug into a computer." I was like, "No, I don't have anything except for a camera." And he was like, "Oh, okay." So he recommended me this mic, which I'm actually pretty familiar with because someone that I know uses this for their podcast, like literally all the time, and I've been around this mic a lot. Um, so it even more inclined me to make the purchase. It was only like $100, which isn't bad for a microphone. And if this is something that I want to invest in and do, and not only invest money in, but time in, I will do it happily. So, yeah, that was my really happy purchase of the day, was getting this microphone. I honestly really wanted one of the microphones that, like, people use at like concerts and stand up and whatever, like Emma Chamberlain uses, but the one that they had was like two times the price of this, and I was like, okay, what's the difference? Like, I just have to hold it a little bit more awkwardly, and I can even take this stand off. It's like magnetic, and just hold it like this. Wait, should I just do that? Honestly, I might just do that. No, that feels weird. I'm continuing like this. Um, what was I saying? Oh, but yeah, I was really happy to make this purchase at this random music store in Bangkok. Um, and yeah, I wanted like the more expensive mic, but I just went with this one because I already knew about it and it sounded like the smart purchase. Anyway, I've been talking about this fucking mic for way too long, but yeah, I have stopped myself from making a podcast for multiple reasons. One, the first being, I did not have a microphone. Now I do, so that's solved. Two, I did not, nor could I ever think, nor have I still made a name for this podcast. And it's very intimidating and hard for me to make names for things because I feel like it's very permanent, and I need to just shut the fuck up and stop letting my thoughts win, because it's just a name. Like, no one fucking cares. It's never that serious. But yeah, even now, there's still no name for this podcast. You might see one now that I've impulsively decided a name very quickly so I could upload this. Um, well, yeah, you definitely will see some sort of name because it has to be somewhere. I haven't even started the YouTube channel that I'm going to upload this to. I haven't created it. But that leads me to the next thing that stopped me from making a podcast, which was the fear of starting. which could be an entire podcast episode in itself. Oh my God, let me write that down in my notes really quick because I need to think of podcast episodes. But the fear of starting really stopped me from making a podcast for so long because I had already built my main platforms, which is like, I guess, in ranking order, like my TikTok, my YouTube, and then my Instagram. So starting something else seemed like very, very intimidating because for some reason I classify myself as someone on the internet who is has a hard time converting people to other platforms. I've been somewhat successful on my YouTube, but it's very separate from from my TikTok, which is interesting because I feel like my growth on YouTube has had nothing, almost nothing to do with my TikTok because I kind of had a little bit of success on YouTube and TikTok at the same time, but separately. Like they had nothing to do with each other. So it's like I have one audience on YouTube and then one audience on TikTok on a completely different side. It's really weird. But with that, I feel like it's really hard for me to convert people from one platform to another. So, I mean, we'll see how this podcast even does. But at the end of the day, this feels like a passion project for me rather than like work. And this is something that I just really want to do to kind of like talk to myself. And I don't know, I just want to like be consistent. Like I want to be consistent with something, and I'm really challenging myself to be consistent with this because let me give myself a pat on the back. For the past 9 months since I started social media, I have been pretty damn consistent. And that is not something that I ever thought I would be able to say because I've not been consistent with anything in my entire life. But I have posted, I don't think on TikTok I've ever missed more than 3 days, like once. I missed like 3 days once, something like that on TikTok. And I never thought I'd be able to say that. Like, that's fucking crazy. And on YouTube, I've never missed more than 2 weeks, I believe. But I have definitely missed 1 week, probably 3 times, 4 times, something like that. Um, and yeah, I'm really proud of myself for doing that. But my podcast is something that I want to be like really, really strict with and be very, very, very consistent with and like do it every single week. And eventually, obviously, I want to get like, what's it called? The people who manage podcasts, production company. Yeah, podcast production company. I want to get that so I can get like ads and, you know, make a little buck off of this. That'd be nice. Um, but wait, where was I going with that? See, this is the problem. This is why I'm literally like, you, Brian, you literally can't have a podcast because I have such severe ADHD. And once again, that's another episode that I could completely go off into, but we're going to try to stay on track here. Um, I have severe ADHD, which is something that I don't really talk about, but it honestly is something that I really, really struggle with. And I thought that I had left that behind like years ago, but it's more in the past like year has shown to be like still very much relevant in my life, which is very weird to me to think about. Anyway, that's another episode. See, I'm veering off. But what I was saying is that ADHD contributes to me not really being able to talk in length and breaking off into different topics and my mind not working the same way as many people who have podcasts do. So it's honestly been really discouraging for me to do any sort of social media, not only a podcast, but like all social media. A lot of times I get a lot of imposter syndrome and I'm like, my brain is not built for this. Like, who the fuck am I? Like, I'm not able to do this. Other people are, but not me. I'm not able to do this. Turns out I am. I literally just have to buy a $100 microphone and turn on my camera and press upload. And that makes me really happy that I can do something like that. I don't know why. I was talking about this in my vlog, but just buying electronics like this and like opening the box makes me so happy. Like it like literally just buying things like motivates me so much. And retail therapy goes a little bit too far for me because like I will do retail therapy like once a week to make myself feel better because it also motivates me to do work, which is weird. But like if I'm not motivated to do something, oh, I just have to buy something related to that, then I will do it, which is like not a good habit to have, and I definitely do not encourage that. But obviously I do have to have a mic for this podcast, so I did buy the mic. However, um I'm really trying to stick to to stick to talking in length here. I can't believe it's 2 a.m. right now. Like I need to go to bed. I've been traveling around Asia. I still have 2 more countries to go in Asia before I hop over to LA for a little bit. But I've been traveling around. See, I already lost my fucking train of thought. Oh my God. I've been traveling around Asia The thought's gone. The thought's literally gone. I don't know what I was talking about. Oh, I'm literally nervous. Like, I'm fucking nervous on this podcast. Oh, so I've been trying to speak in length. I'm really challenging myself to speak in length by doing this podcast because y'all don't see, but when I'm editing vlogs and stuff, I will repeat sentences 4 or 5 times. Like, literally so many times, and it takes so much more editing. Or there will be a 30-second pause in between most sentences that I say, which not only leads to more editing, but like the capacity on my camera, my SD card is like so, like a small clip of me talking will end up being so long and such a large, like 7 GB clip that takes so long to transfer over and upload, and it becomes very work inducing. So I'm really challenging myself to get better at talking and public speaking. I mean, this isn't necessarily public speaking because I'm literally talking to a camera and there is no audience, but there kind of is an audience. And also, getting into the audience, like, I literally sound like I'm speaking to an audience right now. Getting into the audience over there. No, but I really love my YouTube audience, like, so much. And I feel like a lot of my YouTube audience loves me, and that makes me really happy. And I feel very, very much more connected to my YouTube audience than I do my TikTok audience, which makes me be able to have a lot of fulfillment on YouTube rather than on TikTok. And I read every single comment that I get on YouTube. Um, and I have gotten a lot of comments about making a podcast and whatnot. So I'm here to deliver, but also I just want to share a different side of myself that I don't share on the internet, which is really, really exciting for me because it can be very isolating to not share certain sides of yourself and only share one side of yourself. Like, that becomes very mentally challenging for me, and I want to show real parts of my life on my podcast and talk about real shit that doesn't get seen on TikTok or on YouTube. And yeah, what I was saying is I'd really like to connect with you guys on my podcast on YouTube, versus on my podcast, or versus my YouTube channel, my regular YouTube channel. Um, and I just love watching my subscribers and people who watch me follow me throughout my journey, and also just like are really involved and like really know a lot about me. And it really makes me happy when I see that there's like people out there that really have taken the time to watch like what I have to say, and don't find me boring when I'm like, because I'll edit a video like 7 times over. Like, by the time I've finished editing the video, I've seen the video 7 times. So at that point, it gets pretty exhausting to watch yourself or boring to watch yourself. So then I start to feel really boring, and I'm like, oh my God, like no one's gonna fucking like this. And then I post it on YouTube and I get so many comments about how much people love my videos, and that makes me like so fulfilled and so happy, like no matter the amount of views, because I do like sometimes catch myself like comparing my views on TikTok to YouTube, because a lot of the time on TikTok my views are like in the millions, and on YouTube that sorry, on YouTube that just does not reflect the same. And fuck, where was I going with that? Here I go. I don't know. But basically, I want to be able to connect with you guys through this podcast, and I really love, no matter how many views I get on my YouTube, I really love being able to connect with even if it's just 10 people. Like, I feel like I have a good small handful of people on my main YouTube channel who really are invested in what I do and really enjoy watching what I put out and what I create, and that makes me really happy. And this is for y'all. This is for the real ones. This is for the real fucking ones. And sometimes I get those like edits on TikTok of people, it's like my top 5 YouTubers, and I'm like on it, and I'm like I literally freak out over that because I grew up like watching those sorts of like TikToks and stuff. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. How long are we? Oh God. I got scared because I thought it had been like 30 minutes, and I'm really trying to do like a 30-minute episode for every single episode, but I'm at 14 minutes and 37 seconds as we speak. My mic is like connected to my MacBook, and I'm literally just recording this through like voice memos because I don't really know how else a podcast works, and I'm just using my like regular camera as a camera. And as we say here, I'm starting to get really hot because I get hot when I start talking. But the AC is not on, so that might be why. Yeah, so I'm in Bangkok right now. I'm actually really excited because my next country that I'm gonna be in, I'm gonna. I'm doing so many ums. See, that's another thing. I'm like, I don't want to say the word like. I don't want to say the word because I get criticized for it, and I try to cut it out as much as possible. But I can't do any cuts on a podcast, so no cuts today. You're gonna have to deal with the ums and the buts and the likes. So just deal with it. But I'm going to a new destination in like 2 days, and I'm really, really excited. And I'm gonna film my next episode there. And I'm gonna do that in like every location that I'm in. I will say, after I go to LA, I'm going to be in one place after LA, not LA, but after LA, I'm going to be in one place. I'm not going to say where, but I will be in one place for quite a bit. And I'm really excited to kind of see how that translates into my content. It's either really going to fucking stress me out and like kill me, or it's going to make me really happy and I'm going to find a lot of new inspiration and motivation to do a bunch of different things. And me expanding into this podcast is also me like expanding my career and just like the things that I do. And I'm really just in my era of expanding right now. Like I guess I am, like, even though I literally talked about it in my vlog today, like I'm so burnt out, like so burnt out in so many ways, but here I am like expanding into 7 different things at the same time. Like I don't know how I'm able to do this, but right now what I'm doing is obviously I'm still continuing my main YouTube, my TikTok. Now I'm doing this podcast. I'm trying to start a clothing line, which is one of the most exciting things for me. And I'm very, 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 probably the most passionate I've been about anything. I'm very passionate about this clothing line, and I want to try the hardest I can to get it off of the ground. And yeah, I'm in my era of starting things, and it's challenging. Like the whole like clothing line thing that I'm starting literally just became a thing in the past few weeks, even just an idea in the past few weeks. And I'm like really working hard on it right now and trying to launch that. And now I'm adding the podcast on top of that. So I'm trying to, maybe I'm just really looking for a sense of like routine, because since I left Japan, I'm like constantly in a different place and I literally have nothing to grapple onto that gives me a feeling of routine. So now I'm doing a podcast that I have to sit down for 30 minutes a day or a week and film and upload it. So that's what I'm really trying to do. Really, I'm trying to think about like what I should name this podcast. So I had 2 ideas. One idea was the traveling podcast, because I'm always fucking traveling. But I was like, that's not going to make sense if I sit in one place for a long time. And the other one was like something along the lines of like the podcast with no set, because I do not have a set. Bitch, like, I'm sitting in my bed right now. My Airbnb bed. Like, not even my bed. So I'm kind of working off of that. I still kind of hate those names. I just hate every name that comes into my head. So I like don't know what to do or what to name my fucking podcast, but it literally doesn't matter that much. I don't know why I freak out about it so much, but I want to have like everything. I'm such a perfectionist. Like everything that I do has to be fucking perfect. And so I want like my podcast name to be like genius. So like when people hear it, they're like, oh my God, that sounds interesting. Like I need to listen to it. And that is yet to come to me. That is yet to fucking come to me. So that's why I put something like that off so long, because I'm like, I'm going to wait for it to like naturally come to me. Bitch, Ryan, it's not going to naturally come to you. It's not going to, okay? Just let it go. It's not going to come naturally to you. So I really have to put my thinker to some work here and really try to come up with a name for this podcast. Anyway, I'm going to shut the fuck up about the name. Where are we at? Me like checking the time. I like keep thinking, like I'm pausing for like a second and I'm like, oh my God, like, okay, I can cut that out. And I can't. Like I'm literally challenging myself. I'm not doing any cuts on this sort of podcast unless it's like absolutely necessary. So I'm just like continuing to fucking talk. But it's kind of hard when I'm staying on topic at the same time. Let's talk about how influencers start podcasts, okay? I think that's what I'm gonna like title this podcast. Oops, another influencer starting a podcast. That sounds so millennial, like ew. Oop, another millennial started a podcast. No, but I have felt that way too. Like I'm literally like, oh my God, literally every influencer is starting a podcast now. But like, who the fuck listened to a podcast before 5 years ago? No one. Like literally no one. No one I knew. I had never listened to a podcast unless it was like a language learning podcast. I had never listened to a podcast about anything. And it's like crazy that we have this new form of media for people to like, oh my God, my MacBook like is sleeping now. Don't go to sleep. Like I'm literally recording. Is it still recording? Okay, yes it is. Um, but we have this new form of media for people to like express themselves, and it's almost really oh God, I was about to say a really cringy term, but it's almost really freeing because everybody who does a podcast really shows a side of themselves that they don't show on their other social media platforms. Like if you think about one of my favorite podcasts, at least at the moment, is Anything Goes by Emma Chamberlain, and she really shows a side of herself that she does not show or has not shown on any other platform her entire social media career. And that is like really enticing because it's like, oh, I want to hear about like what they have to say that they're not showing on camera on their other social media platforms that I'm always in tune with. Um, and so that really excites me because that's exactly what I want to do. I want to show a side of myself that's not necessarily on other parts of my social media that I don't always want to share because there are multiple reasons why I don't want to share a lot of things on other social media platforms. And it's because on TikTok, I definitely filter the most because that's my largest audience. So I get really scared and I get really careful about the things that I say on TikTok. And on YouTube, it's a little bit less dialed down, but I've noticed on YouTube, like my main YouTube, the comments are more intense. Like, I think people are more in tune with my life on YouTube, so I'm more susceptible to criticism there. So I've recently, and I said this in my vlog today, but like recently, I have been like refining a lot of the things that I talk about on my YouTube channel, which I don't like. I do not like that. Like, I just want to be like, no fucking filter and say like whatever, but there are parts of my life that I genuinely don't think that I can really talk about, and a lot of it, some of it is not out of my is out of my control. Like I'm not able to talk about some things, and that's just how it is. And my podcast, there's definitely still some things that I cannot talk about and that I won't talk about, which I hate to say. I literally hate to say that so much because I know what it feels like to be on the other side and be like, I want to know literally everything. But maybe someday in the future, there are some things that I can reveal and talk about online. But as of right now, I definitely want to be the most unfiltered on my podcast. That's what I will say. I'm not going to filter out a lot, but there are parts. Okay, let me just shut the fuck up about like filtering. That's it. There's going to be a tiny tad bit of filtering on my podcast, but not anywhere near the amount on my other platforms. So get ready, be excited to follow this journey, and I'm really excited to see like the people who watch like every single episode. Like that is dedication. That makes me feel so happy. Also, speaking of podcasts, I have this really bad habit, and I'm like really embarrassed to admit this, but I have this really, really bad habit of watching videos in 2x speed. And it's only on YouTube. It's not, you can like do that on TikTok now. It's like a new feature, kind of. It came out like a few months ago, but I don't even do that. Like I never touch that feature. But I watch podcasts in 2x speed because my attention span is so low. And I recently saw a study that like nobody's attention span is actually lowering. We're just getting better at like catching people's attention, which I think that's got some truth to it. There is a truth to the center of that. But I think my attention span is extremely low, and that also goes into my ADHD problems. And so I've gotten to a point now where I watch podcasts and videos in 2x speed because in my brain I'm like, oh, I need to constantly be working. I need to be super productive like literally every second of the day. And I'm like, oh, if I cut the time of this video, enjoyable video for me, down by half, then I will have more time to work. I will have so much more time to work, and that's going to make me so much more productive and successful. But that's probably not reality. That's probably not the truth. But also, there's also a part where, like, if I watch things in 1x speed, it's painful. Like, I literally can't watch it. And not only podcasts, but this extends to movies as well. When I'm by myself, I do not do this when I'm with other people, and I don't think I've ever said this to anyone before, but when I'm by myself, I literally click the arrow button on movies and I will skip through like long scenes, not even just long scenes, sometimes short scenes, just to get like the main idea of the movie. And that is like, that's really bad. Like I think that's the most like Gen Z thing I've ever said. But like, I literally will skip movies. Like a movie will be like an hour and a half and I will cut it down to maybe 30 minutes. That sounds so bad. Holy fuck. But no, like, it's true. Like, And I don't have a problem with it, to be honest. I only have a problem with it because I think my attention span is really bad. But it doesn't make it less enjoyable for me. Like, if anything, it's more enjoyable, and I get the main idea of it out of a movie or just any sort of video. And literally every single podcast I watch is on like 1.8x because a lot of bitches talk really slow. A lot of people talk really fucking slow, and I can get the idea in the same amount of speed. Or if it's faster, I get the idea. So it just makes sense for me. So if you want to do that for this podcast as well, you can feel free to do that. It honestly saves you a lot of time. I don't know why I'm defending this idea now, but I guess there's not that much wrong with it at the end of the day. It doesn't hurt anyone. I wonder how that works with like watch time on social media. Like, obviously what makes videos do well is how long people watch it for, which is watch time. I wonder if you speed it up, if it like counts for the same amount of watch time or not. I feel like it would. I don't know. Anyway, if you want to watch this in 2x speed, feel fucking free. You might get I feel like I've been talking pretty fast, so honestly it might be a little bit too fast to watch it in 2x speed, but we can crank it up to like 1.2 or something. I don't know. But anyway. I wanted to, so for like the theme of this podcast, like the set, which is actually never going to be like an actual fucking set because, well, maybe one day, like way down the line, but not anytime soon because I'm constantly in a different background. As you guys know, I'm constantly traveling, so there's just no way that I can always have a consistent set. But I think this bed is like not too bad. Like, I feel like this is a pretty cozy vibe. I have like a little lamp on next to me. I don't want to turn the camera because my camera's going to fall if I do that. But I have a little lamp I just burped. Lamp next to me that's giving off some pretty cute lighting. I have a little somewhat of a view of Bangkok. I think it's raining right now. It's been raining like literally every single night. But I've been looking out because during the day it's not raining. But it's so hot here. Like, it's tropical weather, so it's so hot. I don't know why I'm talking about the weather anymore. Also, got my nails done today. They literally slay so hard. She was doing them, and before she put the stars on, I thought they were so fucking ugly, and I was like, oh my god, this is horrible. I have a little bit of a story. Actually, I have a little bit of a story of while I was at the nail salon, and this is so funny. So I was getting my nails done, and about like halfway through, these like girls walk in speaking English, like American sounding English, but they seemed really young. So I was like, oh, they're probably in high school. They're probably international students. Their parents work in Thailand, whatever. So, and this is a very, very small nail salon. Like, it was in a train station, like very small. And so I can hear like everything they're saying, and the nail salon is talking. They're like, the workers are talking to each other in Thai, and like one of the American sounding girls spoke Thai, so she was speaking Thai to the employees, and I guess they started talking about TikTok or something, and then I came up into the conversation because they saw me across the room, and the girl was like, oh, like, I swear I've seen you on TikTok or something, and I was like, yeah, I'm a TikToker, like, whatever, the normal spiel that have now gotten used to after like many months of being on social media. But she was very, very nice. Not to discredit any of that. Like, she was very, very sweet. But the funny part is she kept insisting that she followed me on Instagram. And I was like, okay, like, that's cool. Like, amazing. I'm very happy that, like, you are able to have this interaction. I know how exciting that is. But so she proceeds to pull up her phone, and she's probably like 2 feet away from me getting her nails done at the same time. But she proceeds to pull up her phone and flips it around to me and shows me, she's like, yeah, I follow you. And I'm like, oh, like, cool, like, whatever. I leave the nail salon after they took pictures and everything and whatever. Leave the nail salon. I check my Instagram. She had just followed me. She literally followed me the second she pulled up my account, like, clicked follow, and then pointed it at me and was like, I follow you on Instagram. Like, I followed, like, insinuating that she had followed me for like a long time. And I was so like taken back at that moment. I was like, are we, like, why did you lie? Like, why did you lie? And I was kind of suspicious because when she showed me my Instagram, it showed like the suggested people, which doesn't come up unless you like follow someone or you like specifically click that button. So I was like, did she like literally just follow me? And she did. But I mean, I'm not even that mad about it. I was just like confused that she lied about it, but I thought she was cute. She was very, very nice. Very sweet. I have nothing bad to say about it, but I just thought that was so weird and so funny. Anyway, we are now at the 30-minute mark. Oh my god. Okay, so we finally made it to this point. I guess I can end the story there with that. I kind of went way off topic at the end there. But overall, this is the podcast, not the podcast about, but this podcast episode is about influencers starting a podcast. And honestly, I didn't really talk about it that much, but I'm just going to title it, I think, it, whoa, an influencer starts another podcast or some shit like that. Anyway, yeah, we're at 30 minutes. I'm going to end it here. Oh my God. I feel so much pressure about like what my outro is going to be. I didn't even think about that. But thank you for watching so much. If you did, I have no idea how many people are going to watch this. I don't care either. I just want some consistent viewers. That'd be great. I love you so much. Thank you for making it to the end. And I will see you next week in my second official podcast episode. Ah, that's so exciting. Okay. Mwah. Bye bye. I'm really ending this like my regular YouTube videos. Let me do it again. Mwah. Bye bye.